Dave?
Well,
As far as I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the portion. Money. Sometimes he's.
I'll give Dave a minute or so. Otherwise I'm getting up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right.
Actually, who is that? Just have one guy. Right? But we'll be more than. Yeah, yeah. Not here. Probably is. I think you can produce it. Really? Yeah. They're all. Yeah. You said that's not. Wow. That is. That's right. All that. We use that to. Yeah. It's all going to the dials. Oh, yeah, I wasn't. So that's the fallback excuse, I think.
All right, well, I think I'll call this meeting to order tonight. Ask for a roll call, please.
Randy Jones,
Here.
John Delberger,
Here?
Darla Brown. Here. Jane Gore. Here. Andy Boyle.
Right? Hope everybody had a chance to read our short minutes from the last meeting in July. I did not have any changes to suggest.
I didn't either.
I didn't even.
Okay. Nobody had any changes to suggest. I entertain a motion to approve them as written.
Second.
Have a motion to approve, it's been seconded. Minutes from last month's meeting, roll call vote when you're ready, please.
Jane Gore,
Yes.
John Delberger,
Yes.
Andy Boyles,
Yes.
Darla Brown.
Yes.
Randy Jones.
Yes.
Okay, minutes are approved. We don't have any old business on the docket tonight, so we'll go to new business. First item of which is docket number 25-VAR-04. This is a request for a variance from a side setback. Kayla, whenever you're ready, you give us our staff report.
Okay, and I think you all have a copy of the amended up there. I just added some clarification.
Yes.
This is staff report for Huffman variance petition. Docket number 25-VAR-04. Hearing date, August 27th, 2025. Petitioners and property owners, Tim and Angela Huffman. Request is a variance from the minimum side setback requirement of 10 feet. Ordinance provisions, section 4.6C of the Brown County zoning ordinance. Location, the property is located at 6475 Chipmunk Court, Nineveh, Indiana, and Hamlin Township. Lots SW-407 and SW-408 are located on the south side of Chipmunk Court, approximately 765 feet southwest of the intersection with Coyote Drive. Zoning and current land use. The lots are in Lake Residential LR zoning district and consist of a home with a one-car attached garage. General findings. 1, the Brown County zoning ordinance and the rules of the Conservancy District provide that the minimum setback between structures and a side property line should be no less than 10 feet on each side with a minimum total aggregate of 25 feet. Two, combined platted lots consist of approximately 0.20 acres with a width of approximately 74 feet. Three, the petitioner has requested a variance to allow construction of an 8-foot by 20-foot addition to the attached garage. The requested setback for the addition is 1.1 feet. The existing setback on the opposite side is 10.2 feet. Four, in the statement of request, the petitioner explains that a building permit for this project had been issued for a different location on the property, but it has since been discovered that a new septic system is required to support this current system. Therefore, the building site needed to be moved to the other side of the home. Five, and this was the addition here in red. The home was demolished to the foundation, so the reconstruction was flagged as new construction through the health department and building department. The project is now considered new construction, so as opposed to a remodel where you can use existing setbacks, their setback requirements should be met. Six, the statement further explains that there are longstanding encroachments on the property line shared with the Finleys. Of the 3 letters in support of the petition, one is from the Finley family, the affected neighbor. 7, the petitioners and the Finley family have agreed to formally adjust the shared property line to resolve some of the encroachment issues in the future. This adjustment of property lines will require approval of a replat of the lots. 8, if the lots are replatted as shown on the proposed future site plan, the setback will be 6.5 feet. The board may grant a variance with respect to specific property if after conducting a hearing under section 7.2 of the Brown County zoning ordinance, it finds that 1, there are special circumstances relating to the property that do not generally affect other property or other uses of the same kind in the same district and vicinity. 2, the special circumstances create hardship in that if the variance is not granted, a substantial property right that is enjoyed by other properties in that district and vicinity cannot be enjoyed. 3, the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to other property or uses in that district and vicinity. Summary and recommendation. It appears that there are many examples of reduced setbacks within the district, especially on Chipmunk Court. Staff believes that there are unique and special circumstances relating to the property that create hardship and the necessity for approval of the petition. Is looking north from the foundation. North, but just from a little further back.
Is that foundation, the foundation of the building that was demolished, or is that a new foundation?
That's the building that was from the building that was demolished,
Okay,
but they'll be reusing that foundation.
understood.
And then this here, I don't know if you can see the pointer there, but it appears that this is the side property line. It's just looking out toward the lake. This is the property line shared with the Finleys. So they've got the Finleys, it appears like they've got a hot tub right here. It's hard to see in this picture. There's a little better picture of it. So I couldn't see where the line was marked, because it's all concrete down through here.
You didn't get a view from the hot tub?
I did not. I think that picture was in there twice, but it's because it was really important.
Gotcha.
Then these are other approved variances with the pink squares.
Gotcha.
That is the end of the staff report.
Can you go back one picture? So the Finleys are to the left of the white?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Kayla, the drawing, the site plan that I had in my materials and your staff report gives me this existing setback on the opposite side from the garage. What is the existing setback on the garage side without the addition that they want to put on? I don't see that on my site plan.
It will be the 1.1. I believe now it is,
But if we don't grant them
8
the
feet.
variance, what is the existing setback to the existing foundation?
I believe it's 9.1,
9.1.
because it's an 8-foot wide. And I believe the petitioners are here too, if we want to verify that with them.
Okay, I may. Okay, thanks. Okay, so the existing foundation has a 10-foot and a few inches setback on one side and maybe a 9-foot and a few inches setback on the other side. Gotcha. Thanks.
They want to extend it 8 feet.
Yes. Yes.
Right, okay. All right.
So I have some questions about the amended staff report. So you've added a paragraph 5. So when I read that, it looks like you're changing your opinion. Are you changing your opinion as to whether or not the board should grant this?
I was unaware that the home was completely demolished,
Okay,
until I went out and took pictures on Monday.
okay,
So, I think that it should be approved, but I do believe that a condition that they do the replat and that the replat is approved, because then we would only be 6.5 feet.
with the, so.
Okay.
They should reach the agreement with the neighbors, the Finleys.
Yes,
Okay, and has anybody, the petitioner or the Finleys, put in front of you a proposed agreement to resolve the encroachment issues? Have you seen anything? Okay,
we do have a letter from the Finleys in the packet, from the,
right.
grantee, I believe, of the transfer on debt.
And can you show me on the chart here where the 16 family is, SICHTIEG? Ones who wrote the letter in opposition, where are they in relation to the petitioner?
I couldn't find them.
They are a little bit further up this way, so let me see if I can. It's this parcel here.
Okay, so they're across this road
Across the
then
road.
from the petitioner.
It says their property line is next to ours.
Right. So you're saying that they're mistaken when they write that their property line is next to the Huffmans?
I believe so, yeah, when I searched it on GIS and, talked to the woman, Emily, I believe, last week, that was the property that she indicated was theirs.
Thanks.
Is there any place else they could put the septic other than where they want to put it? Is it the size of the lot?
The lot size, even though it is 2 lots, it is extremely small.
Which is pretty typical.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused on, I'm sorry, Darla,
Yes, I'm done, thank you.
Okay. On the current status of the septic permit, there's a system there now,
There is,
and they want to use the existing system.
yes.
But I'm not saying, is the health department okay with that, or do you,
They have to do additions to that septic system.
okay, they have an addition to that existing system,
Yes.
expansion of some kind? Okay. All right. So,
Okay, I don't think I have any more questions for Carol right now. Does anyone else on the board?
I don't.
I don't have, I only have the letter from the sections. I don't have any from the ones.
They should be in your, get there.
So I missed.
Yeah, I didn't have it either.
There was 30 of them. Let's see if I know.
And the letter from Tim and Angela from the petition. I don't see,
Let me get those.
Are you talking, Andy, you're talking about the one from Jay and Emily?
I've got that one. I heard that there were 3 other
Yeah.
letters. I don't have them. So in the petitioner's letter that's in our packet for the request for variance, it does say that they had to move the garage addition, which was already permitted, because they had to add on to the septic. That is the reason for changing where it's built.
Right. Like, so anything or something like.
Pretty intense development.
Well, we will.
She's making copies for everybody.
Yes.
That's done of different ways.
Sorry, Jane. Just picking the paint line.
Would be enough.
Hence my name. Okay.
My staff.
If there are no more questions from the board for Kayla, are the petitioners here tonight? Yes. Is there anything you'd like to add to the staff report or share with us that?
Yeah, I would like
If you would come up to the microphone, please, and identify yourself. We record these meetings so we can get accurate
Yes,
minutes.
that's,
Caleb, can you back up 2 slides to show the new foundation, new footing?
you want to state my name?
One more. One more. Well, there you go.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Tim and Angela Huffman. Do I need to state anything else?
No.
And I could show you some other pictures on that line. So if you look at the original two, we bought the home in 2017, and there's actually an asphalt driveway on there. So we're not going past that. Didn't realize again that was encroaching. That was done way before we bought the home. And then the Finleys, again, like we had talked about, they are actually encroaching kind of lakeside. I was hoping to have that already. I talked to him this week. Doesn't always get it done as quickly. He's working on that right now, but doesn't have all the legal stuff to switch those. It's kind of a pie shaped up here and a pie shaped up here that we would just trade pieces. The Finleys also, they have a daughter who's in sports, so couldn't be here tonight, but if we need to call them or anything, they were fine with, us discussing any of that. So if you see along that line, it wouldn't go past where the drive kind of is already there. The other two, so the Finleys are right next to us, and then right across, are, the Bristols. It's right, that house right there, which really is the only people we believe could affect. The Bristols own all the way, which is, I don't know if this things think this is a different property. So they don't have a home there. It's literally a little strip of land for lake rights. In fact, the reason I know their name is we tried to contact them to actually purchase that, to put the new septic on it. And they said, well, they used it for lake rights and they didn't want to do that. So I don't know if they think it's different property or if they think we'll offer them more money now for, if that would be the reason. I'll be honest. We don't butt up against their property and we've never seen them. They don't even know their yard.
Is that? your-
That's whoever this thing, yeah.
Okay.
They have this little,
If you go back to that last picture,
is it like this? Yeah, this little
up
strip
there.
of land. There's no house there or anything. And it's actually, these people, we're friends with all these people. They actually mow it. They're never here. Apparently they inherited it. We tried to buy it from them. So that, I don't know where that came from. But I don't know what their letter said, but,
Ma'am, could I ask you to pull that microphone up just a
I'm
little bit
sorry.
higher, please? Thank you. There you go.
thank you. Again, just I think a lot of confusion. We didn't change our house plans that we submitted in May. We thought we were good leaving the foundation. What I think possibly this is what had happened. So when we had that big rainstorm in April, we sit so close, we actually had 10 inches of water that comes to the home. So we're wanting to raise it up 8 inches. So we're just raising that up. So I'm not sure if that's where the foundation, we were under the impression if we left the walls, I'll be honest, between our builder and I've been in contact with Ernie, I showed him everything, we, upgraded that system, and he said we just now needed to put a different upgrade, and the problem is where the system went, it's now not, it's like 7 feet off, and it's gotta be 10 feet off. So we could have built the garage there where we originally had it, but it was encroaching. He didn't want any encroaching on the septic. He said, I don't care if you go to the side. So we thought we were fine there. And then when we found out where the lines and everything were, that's why we were trying to claim that and had.
So you demolished it because you wanted to raise it up.
Well, we were,
just the lower level. Basically, we sit really close to the water. The house itself is still the same dimensions. Everything's the same on it. It's just that the shoreline, the seawall, we're gonna raise it up
Okay.
8 inches so that it's a little bit higher with the water to protect the water flows from flowing. Okay.
With that map up there, and you're all within the white area there, correct?
Correct.
Where's your septic system?
It's in the grass in the front,
And the front is where, okay, all right,
right up there.
yeah.
okay. And this sounded like a rather stupid question, because that's obviously about the only place you have.
Yeah.
I was
So,
just,
so what we were doing, if you can see, here's our 1-car garage. What we were originally planning on is just bumping this little out right here. And then this new treatment they put, it's a new system, anyway. We didn't realize it was gonna go right there. We thought it was gonna kind of go back because our lines went here.
Gotcha.
It's a water filtration.
Drip irrigation.
No, it's one of the new bio treatment. Basically, they're improving them up north that you can actually just run it right back into the lake after it goes through it.
No, they're not doing it.
They're not
It's like
doing it.
its own septic treatment system that would get us.
So that's what
we needed.
we had to put in. So that's what they put in, where they put it, where it had to go.
It's literally
It
like
blocked
right
our
here.
other.
And so it was gonna, we're only about a 7 foot. If we bump this garage here, we were 7 feet, maybe even 5. And he said that's too close. So then that's when he said if we can just add it that way.
Gotcha.
And if you can see here. Well,
So
I
is
think
that,
it's a-
is that lot next to you even a buildable lot?
we don't have.
There's houses on each side.
No, I mean, the one that from,
No, it's not
No,
even a
it's not.
buildable lot.
or whatever.
It's not even a buildable lot. It's literally like a 30-foot by. It's literally,
It's right up there.
You can't see it from the
yeah.
shot.
And like I said, the thing that's making me, because we actually, before all of this, I wish we could have just asked to purchase it. Because we talked to the conservancy and if we could, run a new septic there and then we just take care of the whole problem. And they said, no, we use it for the lake, right? So I'm a little
So just for my own information, you piqued my interest here a little bit. The septic system that's gonna be going into the expansion.
They've already put that part in.
They'd already put that part in, but this is gonna be an open-ended system. It's like
So we have, he's leaving our current finger system in.
okay,
The new treatment center that he put in will run through our finger system, but he's also adding more fingers.
the new treatment
The
system.
new treatment, whatever the system they put in where it treats the water, it treats it itself.
Okay.
That's the thing that they put in,
That's what they put in.
right, that,
Where the garage was going to.
Yes.
Correct.
yes, not our fingers were not. So that's when we had the plans and we submitted it and they weren't by our fingers, but this new thing that they said, if you want to do this and keep the foundation, put this in, we said, okay. So. does
And
that
the
make sense?
new thing you're talking about was through the county health department, correct?
Yes.
Ernie, yes, Ernie
yeah.
recommended it.
Yes. And I didn't bring the email, but I have all of those, or Kayla, I mean. I'm fine. Yeah.
Any other questions from the board for the petitioner?
I don't have any.
All right, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody here tonight that wants to speak in favor of this petition? How about anybody here who wants to speak against the petition? All right, I don't see anybody, so I'll bring it back to us on the board to reach a decision on. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's more important to me that they have a good septic system than to meet the setback lines, so. And I think they're kind of limited in what they can do, so, and it's through no fault of their own. I think that's
The
what
next,
we see around the lake all the time is just, it's a hardship because the way the parcels are shaped.
Yeah.
You can only do so much. So,
the neighbors didn't question the two that would have lake impediment, so to speak, are both okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Okay. Randy?
I mean, yeah, I don't have any, real concerns. I mean, we all know that area up there is such a hodgepodge of all kind of different, and again, I go back to the septic system. I think if a septic system has ever been put in the state at one time or another, it's probably up there in some fashion. So,
Betcha.
that was my reason for asking, where'd you guys go? Oh, yeah. Follow up on that question you were talking about. So, but other than that, I don't really have any issues.
Okay, all right. I guess I don't have any issues with it either. I do think we should make it a condition that replanting take place and that Kayla get documentation that that's in place before we approve it with that condition.
you want to give them a time limit to get that done?
Oh, I think they're eager to construct since the foundation's sitting there, so I'm okay if we don't give them a time limit. But if you prefer one, I'm fine with that.
Just for, he thought that that would probably be ready to go, and he told me in about 2 weeks, so. Hopefully sooner, he said that.
I'm okay either way with it, putting a time limit on it and not.
90 days?
Okay with that. So you know more than I about the legal hoops they have to jump through to do this. Is that
And can they
sufficient time?
continue,
That's pretty,
can they continue building?
Yeah,
as
at
they're
risk
applying
until you
for-
get your documentation, sure.
Okay,
and 9 days will go fast.
Yeah.
And does your, excuse me, Kayla, so does your recommendation is changing? In lieu of what Darla was asked?
I think that should be a condition.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that
it's,
they should replant.
okay, all right.
Kayla, do you think 90 days is reasonable? You know how this.
I think they could apply within 90 days. I don't know that it would be. It sounds like they're already working with the surveyor,
Gotcha.
with the new surveyor. So things are already rolling a little bit there.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I tried to work with a surveyor 2 years ago and it took me a year more and I never did get the survey, so. They can be dicey, so I don't want to put them in a difficult position. If you think that's a reasonable time, if Darla thinks that's a reasonable time, as I say, I'm fine with that.
Think so.
I think that's fine myself. I mean, they can always get, if it doesn't happen, you come back in and ask for an extension, I suppose. Worst case scenario, but
Or call the right surveyor.
don't call mine.
I can usually have somebody there in 24 hours. Man.
Okay, well then, would you like to make a motion then, since you suggested the additional
Sure,
aspect of the condition?
sure. I move that we approve 25-VAR-04, which is a petition by Timothy and Angela Huffman for a variance for a side setback, on the condition that a replat and a replat of the property lines with the neighbors, the Finleys, takes place within 90 days.
What would you, that means the completion of the replat or an application as Kayla suggested? The submission?
Application is made within 90 days.
Okay, all right,
And with that clarification, I'll second that motion.
all right, we have a motion that's been seconded to approve the condition. Roll call vote when you're ready, Danielle.
John Delberger,
Yes,
Andy Boyles,
Yes.
Darla Brown,
Yes.
Randy Jones,
Yes.
Jane Gore. Yes.
your petition's been approved.
I've got the replat paperwork here, so.
All right. Next item of business tonight is docket number 25-SE-11. This is a request for a special exception for a tourist home. Whenever you're ready, Kayla.
Staff report for Hoffman/Lawler Tourist Home, docket number 25-SE-11. Hearing date, August 27th, 2025. Petitioners, Jamie and Adam Hoffman, property owner, Robin L. Lawler Revocable Trust. Request is a special exception for a 3-guest room tourist home with a maximum occupancy of 8 guests. Ordinance provisions, Brown County Area Board of Zoning Appeals, Resolution 2022-01, Tourist Home Special Exception Guidelines and Conditions, and Section 153.111 of the Town of Nashville Zoning Code. Location is 100 Jefferson Street North, Nashville, Indiana, and Washington Township. The site of the proposed tourist home is located on the southwest side of the intersection of Jefferson Street and Gould Street. Zoning and current land use. The property is zoned restricted buffer RB and consists of a residence with an attached garage and carport. General findings: 1, the property owner gave written authorization for the petitioners to apply for a special exception to allow a tourist home. 2, the home is located on part of lot 37 of the Barnes addition. 3, the petitioner is proposing a 3-guest room tourist home with a maximum occupancy of 8 guests. 4, the home consists of approximately 1,356 square feet of floor space, which includes 3 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and 2 bathrooms. 5, the home contains approximately 672 square feet of guest space, which exceeds the 50 square feet per guest space requirement. 6, the home is located outside the boundaries of the average 100-year flood as indicated on the flood insurance rate map. 7, the site plan shows parking for 6 vehicles on Jefferson Street. This exceeds the parking requirement. 8, the petitioners wish to manage the tourist home themselves. 9, Duke Energy provides electrical service to the property. 10, the Brown County Volunteer Fire Department performed an inspection and stated that the driveway is considered passed and that a formal report is not required since the structure is less than 50 feet from the roadway. 11, water and sewer are provided by the Town of Nashville Municipal Utilities. 12, the Town of Nashville and the Tourist Home Guidelines both prohibit the discharge of firearms. The petitioners have agreed to post notice that the discharge of firearms is prohibited by guests. Recommendation: if the board grants the request for special exception to allow a tourist home, should be based on the following conditions. 1, all tourist home conditions are met. 2, the home will be limited to 8 guests. 3, a local manager will be utilized. 4, a copy of the site plan will be provided to guests inside the home to delineate the property lines. 5, a notice will be posted that the discharge of firearms is prohibited. Findings of fact. The board may grant a special exception for use in a district if after a hearing under section 7.2, it finds that 1, section 3.1 of the Brown County zoning ordinance authorizes a special exception for this use in the designated district. Findings, special exceptions for tourist homes are allowed on property zoned restricted buffer, RB. 2, the requirements for special exceptions prescribed by this ordinance will be met. Would you guys like me to read through the?
No.
Okay. I appreciate that. 3, granting the special exception will not subvert the general purposes served by the Brown County zoning ordinance and will not materially and permanently injure other property or uses in the same district and vicinity. Findings. Staff finds no evidence that approving this application with the conditions listed will materially and permanently injure other property or uses in the same district and vicinity. There is no evidence that the impact of this tourist home on neighboring property will be substantially different than the impact of tourist homes previously approved. Recommendation, based on the findings and prior BZA decisions, staff recommends the board approve the petitioner's request with the conditions listed. The view from Bull Street. And the parking, and I believe in the staff report, I said that the parking was on Jefferson Street, and that is not correct. It is, these are the parking spaces here on Green. You from Jefferson Street? Site plan. Pink, the pink house icons indicate nearby tourist homes. At the end of the staff report.
Okay, thanks. Any questions from the board for Kayla?
About cards.
There were 36 in and 32 were returned.
That's almost a record. Is the petitioner's representative here or the petitioner here? Yeah. Hi. Is there anything you want to add to the staff report?
Not really, we're just gonna pretty much beautify it, you know, get the landscaping all taken care of and fix the inside, do a lot of painting and upgrade some of the appliances and whatnot in there, but, if anything, we're just gonna improve the property, especially the outside. The outside's looking really, I think it's been neglected the last 6 months or so. So we're gonna do a lot of landscaping, make it look really nice, paint the picket fence up front. So, yeah.
Could you come to the microphone,
Yeah.
identify yourself? You said no and then added a bunch of stuff. so-
Yes. Adam Hoffman, and my wife and I, we own a couple of properties in Hamilton County also, so we usually manage it ourselves. But, she's the one who's gonna beautify with me, so she's not here tonight, she's with the boys, so.
So where do you live?
I live in Hamilton County.
How do you plan on managing this?
I have a house in Trafalgar as well. So we have a house in Trafalgar as well that we visit about once a month. We also come out here, at least twice a month. So we manage our property in Trafalgar and we will manage the property out here as well.
So you would only rent it when you're in town?
Not necessarily. So when we manage a property, we usually greet the guest that's coming to the property there. We meet them at the door, we give them instructions, and when they leave, we go there as well as they depart their vacation, I'd say, in a couple of days. And we usually provide privacy when they're here, of course, but when they leave, we usually get a cleaning crew that comes in and cleans up after them as well.
What if they had a serious problem and you're miles away?
I have a local guy named Bob, who actually is my neighbor in Trafalgar, and he does the same thing for me. He sort of watches our house, does my property. We pay him to watch my property in Trafalgar as well. So he's really well connected out here as well. So if there's any issues, which we haven't had any in our Trafalgar property, then he would be right there.
So you provide a 24-hour telephone contact? And
Yes, 100%.
Problem?
Yeah.
Would that be him or you?
Both, everybody
Both,
has. Yeah, my wife and myself, yeah.
Okay.
Well, as you're probably aware, our ordinance recommends that there be a local manager, by which we've normally construed, meaning somebody that's in the county and can respond in a timely manner 24/7 to anything that might arise. And this situation that you're proposing doesn't sound quite like that. And so I have some concerns about that.
Mhm.
Would you consider using a local manager?
100%,
Your manager?
100%. Actually, Jeff is he's my representative in Hamilton County. He also represents some properties out here as well. So he's out here at least once a week. So between all four of us, and we vacation, I say vacation out here at least twice a month as well. So we're always in the county. We're thinking about leaving Hamilton County and buying a house here too as well. So we'll eventually be here.
Mr. Hoffman, I noticed that one of the documents that we have that's DigiSign verified says that you gave permission for Marissa Payton to submit on your behalf for consideration of a tourist home inspection for the property located at 100 North Jefferson Street, but that the property will be managed by your spouse and yourself. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was the authorization?
Marissa Payton represented us doing all the paperwork, the filing for this meeting today, I believe. But she was the one who sort of got all the papers together to send the neighbors and send all the notices out to all the neighbors. So we hired her for that reason. So, because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to contact anybody or how to get the variance. So we hired her and I guess she does this for a living. So, she was the one who helped us with that. But I wouldn't know where to start.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure that, or maybe I didn't quite understand it, that you adequately addressed John's question about a local manager here. You're telling me that Trafalgar, you have someone who is living in Trafalgar. You live.
We have a house in Hamilton County and one in Trafalgar.
Okay.
And yeah,
So closest would.
So what I'm hearing is that somebody would be available on call from either Trafalgar or up in Hamilton County,
100%.
but nobody's available locally.
Yeah, locally would be Trafalgar, I'd say.
That's not.
Does our guidelines define locally? It doesn't.
No.
Yeah,
In the past, it's been someone either within the county or within a 30-minute drive from the location.
Yeah, we're about 20 minutes. The Trafalgar house is 20 minutes from here.
Okay. That's typically how we interpret that and handle that. It's not, we don't have that in writing in the
Correct.
recommendations.
Don't the guidelines say a property manager?
I believe it says local manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't bring my book. Are you looking that up?
I'm hard pressed to recall a case in which we've approved a tourist home with a manager who is out of county. Now, maybe we have, but I don't believe that we have during my 10 or 12 years on board. We've always interpreted a local manager to be someone who's available within the county. Now, granted, there are parts in the county where it can take you longer to get to Nashville than it would from Trafalgar. I understand that. So maybe we need to consider that.
Yeah,
Well-
and E on the tourist home guidelines, each tourist home should have a local manager who possesses the authority and ability to promptly address and correct any violations of the conditions, use requirements, and or limitations applicable to the tourist home. Name, address, telephone number of the local manager should be registered with the APC office and placed in a conspicuous area of the tourist home.
Yeah, it's that adverb promptly that's led us to more or less have our managers, as you say, either within 30 minutes or within the county or something like
Yeah.
that.
And Mr. Hoffman, just for clarification, the reason that we have that ordinance in place, or that guideline in place, I should say,
Yeah.
is because if as a county, not everyone that lives here loves the idea of having tourist rentals. one of the things that we do to try and not control, but to make sure that they're not just left, because it's a big county, so there's very rural locations also.
Right.
So if something happens and a neighbor is offended or a tenant that is renting the place gets crazy or wild, we need to know, or the pipes freeze in the winter and floods, or you'd be amazed at some of the stories I could tell you.
Yeah.
That somebody's there to handle it, like that night or immediately. So I see no other issues with granting
Yeah.
petition, but I'm gonna hold fast on.
You know, we're real active on our projects that we own. We're really active. My wife, that's all she does. She doesn't work. That's her job. So she's in contact with emails and phone numbers, and she's really on top of everything, my wife. That's all she does, really. Besides taking care of my two boys as well, but that's what her job is. And Bob Smith, Bob is my neighbor in Trafalgar, and he runs everything for me, and he does it really well. He had the alarm go off in our Trafalgar house, and he was there before I even got the phone call from my alarm company,
He lives next door.
right next door. He's the head of
He's
HOA.
local there.
Yeah, he's the head of my HOA
Not
there.
as local as it gets.
Yeah, but he is, he can get here in 18 minutes. He's done it in 17 before with a faster car. But he's, from Trafalgar. Yeah,
Legally,
right on being Boston. I don't know about that, but allegedly,
takes me 30 minutes.
yeah. Well, we drove today. The house in Trafalgar we have is about, it took us 18 minutes to get here.
But the individual you're talking about is still in Trafalgar.
Yes, correct. He lives in Trafalgar. And
Does he own a property management group or?
No, he's managed properties before, that's what he used to do for a living, but he manages ours. And, this guy's awesome, like, he does things that I don't even expect him to do, and he's always there. The alarm's going off, he's knocking on the door, taking care of it, he's on it. So that's why we trust him to do this as well for us, because and we pay him for it. Before it was just sort of like a neighborly favor, but we sort of said, hey, we're gonna start paying you for this, and he's happy with that, of course, so.
So we do have resources here in the county. There are resources that will and can and do work as property managers,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Which Mr. Huffman could contract with. Okay,
And I'd be happy to do that too, that's fine,
well, I think it'd make us feel a lot better.
yeah.
Well, it'll make me feel better.
Yeah,
I gotta take the rest of the board members, but, we've talked about this before, on what the term local. And I think we need to actually pin that down, geographically, some way, a little better what we do, but,
Yeah.
so you would be willing to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a tourist home in Westfield, and we've had it for about 7 years, and we have parties. We've had over 200, 300 families a year stay there, and we've never had any issues for 7 years where we had to really be there on the spot for anything. It's usually a self-service sort of situation where people know the expectations of what they need to do there. And I properly vet all the people that are staying at the place as well. We look at their profiles, we look at their history, we look at their reviews. We don't want just anybody staying at our place because it's my place. It's gonna be my house.
Sure.
So we're really, really picky on who we have staying at our places, and we've had good luck with it in the past. So.
Okay,
How do you vet people that have no internet trail?
We just don't accept them. Yeah, if we don't like their profile for any reason, if we don't see at least 5 or 6 reviews on them that are positive, we don't care. We don't care about the money. We'd rather it be a safer place for them to stay, and, we've seen people with no reviews that look great in pictures, but we don't see any history or reviews of them, so we just say, sorry, we don't have it available that weekend. This is my property and I don't want anybody screwing around with it, so. And we've had good luck in the past with that.
all right, thanks for that.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anybody here tonight that wants to speak in favor of this petition? Or anybody who wants to speak against the petition? Yes, ma'am, if you'd identify yourself, let us know what you have to say.
Dina Patrick, I live on West Main Street, and I don't know if it'd be okay for Kayla to go back maybe one slide that shows the parking. Number 7 on the staff report says there are 6 parking spots, so it exceeds the amount of parking that is needed. Can you show the parking spaces, Kayla? They are angled parking, and there is no way that a large SUV or a pickup truck can be in that parking spot lengthwise. I just walked past there on my way here, and there is a green Silverado truck with the extra seating, the double door seating, and it's hanging out in the street this far. So my concern would be parking. If you have up to 8 guests, there is possibility you could have 3 to 4 cars. If they're small cars, great, they might fit in those spots. But larger vehicles are not going to fit in those angled spots that hang out into the street. And town has parking on the north side of the street. So I'm not against a tourist home being there. I would say consider the parking maybe being changed so that it runs maybe just sideways parallel with the building itself. So that is my concern. Thank you.
I mean, Dave helped me out here, but if you're parked with your vehicle sticking out into the street, that's a traffic violation, right?
Yes.
Okay, so anybody could call the Nashville police and, you know, and the vehicle would have to be parked somewhere else.
Correct.
Okay, all right, just, thanks.
Hey, well, I have a question. It says up to 8 guests, but it's a 3 guest room. I know in the past we've done 2 per guest room, even though it's 50 square foot minimum.
And they did,
Hold on, so.
they've got a sleeper sofa.
In the living room.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Find the right page there. Yeah, it's on the site. Yeah, in the living room, a sofa bed. So that number of the living room was taken into account whenever I was calculating for the guest space requirement.
I'm gonna bring this back to us on the board to decide then. Thoughts?
I guess I would like to hear Mr. Huffman address this, the last concern
Yeah.
with parking restriction. We're only looking at something here visually. I have no idea if that's 10 feet, 11 feet, 15 feet.
I don't know the size. I have an extended Lincoln Navigator and it fit there perfectly today.
You have a what?
Extended Lincoln Navigator and
Okay.
it fit there. It's massive. It's like a land yacht and it fit there perfectly today. So I've seen no problem with it. Maybe the guy that had his truck there today didn't pull up all the way. I don't know. But we have a massive truck and it fits perfectly. And we've had 4 spots that are taken with big cars. We've never had an issue there.
So what you're saying is your experience has been that there's no problems with any kind of or coming out into the highway, the public highway with whatever you've been sitting there, other people,
Not that I've seen.
not that you see.
Yeah, we've been there probably 30 times in the last 2 months, 3 months, and we've never had a problem. We've seen cars parked there and never encroachment to the driveway or people driving by.
It says 18.2 feet or 18 feet 2 inches on the,
Oh, you got the site plan there? I was gonna ask Kayla to bring it up. Is that what it
That's
says?
a lot of parking for anything down here.
well, no, I mean,
Not a
you
lot.
can't build a 20-foot garage and close the door
Right.
with an 18-foot car
Yeah.
like that. So I wouldn't say a lot, but if it's 18 feet, then it would be average, you know? I mean, I think it would meet. I know the area. I mean, I've seen vehicles hanging out there too.
Yeah.
But you can't fix or legislate stupidities. People can't park, and that's, you know.
I agree.
Probably average for Brown County, but as you know, parking's a premium down here, no matter where you go, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a really large spot right in front of the house too, really large. It fits like a car and a half. So,
So your experience thus far, you've seen no problems with any kind
I've
of
never even thought about it, no.
intruding out into the public.
Yeah, we have we have an extended version of this Lincoln Navigator. This thing is massive. I can't even park this thing. It's perfectly there. Yeah. And we've also put signs there that say, please pull all the way forward. Right, everybody has cameras on their cars nowadays. But like you said, if someone's sticking out and it's really in the way, then tell them, I don't care.
Right. I agree. It's not up to you to.
Yeah, you're right. He, like Mr. Boyle said, he's ethics. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy, thoughts?
Well, I see no problem with it being a tourist, with approving the petition, other than having a local manager. That's something that we've been pretty persnickety about in the past, and I think there's good reason. That's
When you say local manager, how would you define that?
in county, someone that's a management company is different than my neighbor Bob. We had a guy a few months ago that said he had a friend here in the county that would show up if anything needed. And then he said that he's here 6 months out of the year, and it's a management company. Our management companies in this county, the ones that I'm familiar with, do a very good job of also letting us know if something's not in compliance, and they kind of help toe that line for us. So it's kind of a last line of defense to protect, you know what I mean? So I'm pretty, that's where I'm at.
Well, I think all the more reason we probably need to revisit this and kind of refine that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like I said.
Yeah, I think we need to define what we mean by promptly.
Yeah.
One of the other reasons, if I could add on or finish, one of the other reasons is if a management company is being used, we know that that management company is going to operate that tourist home within the guidelines set, because they're not going to risk their reputation and or any kickback or negative from this board and from this office. So,
Whatever.
well,
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, what you're saying.
I know two of them they don't put up with nothing. So, but they do a great job.
And I think Mr. Huffman agreed to do that. Did you not?
That's what I heard too.
All right.
Darrell?
I have no problems.
Jane?
I'm fine with it as long as it's a local property manager.
And I'm gonna make her pretty, I promise. I'm
Okay.
gonna paint that fence, fix the landscape, you're gonna love it.
Probably need to run all that by the Nashville Town Council and make sure that you're within the paint codes and all that in their new plan.
You do need to go through the DRC, you're in RB zoning.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have carte blanche. You don't have carte blanche out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's new recently. They just adopted it.
I got you. Okay.
I also am fine with this petition with the conditions that, Kayla suggested and that have been discussed already. So I'd entertain a motion if anybody wants to make one.
I'll move with respect to docket number 25-SE-11 petitioners Gene and Adam Hoffman for request for approval of tourist home. That we approve said petition on the following conditions. All tourist home conditions are met. Home will be limited to 8 guests. A local manager will be utilized. A copy of the site plan will be provided to guests at the site of the home to delineate the property lines. A notice will be posted that the discharge of firearms is prohibited.
All right. Would you be okay with some clarifying language about what you mean by a local manager?
Oh, you want, okay, well, in my mind, it should be someone within the limits of Brown County,
Okay.
within the county jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Mhm.
I'll second that motion. Danielle, we have a motion to approve. It's been seconded. A roll call vote, please, when you're ready.
Okay. Andy Boyles,
Yes.
Darla Brown,
Yes.
Randy Jones,
Yes.
Jane Gore,
Yes.
John Dilberger.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
you're approved.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Last item of new business tonight is docket number 25-8-01. This is a request to appeal the decision made by the planning director. Kayla, whenever you're ready.
Staff report for appeal of director's decision, docket number 25-A-01, hearing date August 27th, 2025. Petitioner Penny Scoggins, request is to appeal the decision of the planning coordinator, director of the area plan commission regarding issuance of the sign permit. Ordinance provisions, chapter 7, administration, enforcement and appeals, and the Board of Zoning Appeals, rules of procedure, article 5, powers and duties, 1A.
Caleb, I interrupt you for a second.
Yes.
Could you bring your microphone just a little closer to you?
Is that
I'm
better?
not sure, but yes, it is. Thank you.
You want me to repeat that? You want me to repeat that and read it
No,
again?
no, I'm sorry. You didn't throw something at me.
To the Board of Zoning Appeals. The Board of Zoning Appeals Rules of Procedure, Article 5, Powers and Duties, 1A states, the board shall have the following powers, and it shall be its duty to hear and determine appeals from and review any order, requirements, decision, or determination made by the director in the enforcement of the Brown County zoning ordinance or the Nashville zoning ordinance. All appeals must be filed with the commission within 45 days of the order, requirement, decision, or determination made by the director. 3, the petitioner is requesting an appeal of the director's decision to issue a sign permit for KOA on May 28th, 2025. 4, at the time the determination was made, the appeals process was explained to the petitioner. The timeline for application under the BZA procedures that an appeal must be filed within 45 days of the decision was met as the petitioner produced an application for an appeal of the decision on July 8th, 2025. 5, the appeal was docketed on August 4th, 2025. The legal notice was published in a timely manner and the petition was slated for August 27th, 2025 BZA meeting. 6, according to the petitioner, there was a sign in the same location many years before the petitioner purchased the property. The sign was blown down during April of this year. It is unclear when the original KOA sign was placed on the parcel as a sign permit was not found. 7, the sign sits on property owned by the petitioner, but which has an easement named KOA Drive or the KOA Campground. The easement reads, a perpetual non-exclusive easement for ingress and egress over and along a 50-foot wide established roadway leading from State Road number 46 to the above described real estate. 8, the petitioner is the owner of a tourist home property located at 2298 State Road 46 East, as well as 5 additional adjacent tourist home properties. The home most affected by the sign is under construction currently. The petitioner has provided a petition with 118 signatures asking for the sign to be taken down. 9, Carpenter Legacy Management is the current owner of the KOA Campground. A special exception was approved on January 29th, 2014, under docket number 14-SE-1 to operate a travel trailer park and campground. Historical reports from staff state that the property was used as a campground for approximately 40 years prior to the necessity of a special exception. 10, according to the zoning maps, the Scoggins properties are zone GB, general business, while the KOA campground is zoned FR, forest reserve. The KOA's newly installed sign is located on the GB property and is 80 square feet. 11, there are vastly different maximum sign area allowances depending on where the sign is located. From section 4.15 miscellaneous sign provisions, the following are the maximum allowances. Sign area, sign height, and setback regulations. A, in floodplain, in FP, FR, R1, R2, and LR districts, the maximum total sign area per lot is 24 square feet. And the maximum total sign area of any sign located on the lot is 12 square feet. B, in DB, AB, and industrial and I districts, the maximum total sign area per lot is 144 square feet, and the maximum total sign area of any sign located on the lot is 100 square feet. C, in floodplain, forest reserve, R1, R2, and LR districts, the maximum sign height is 8 feet. D, in GB, AB, and I districts, the maximum sign height is 20 feet. 12, on the sign permit application form, it is stated that, quote, "Written proof must be attached to this application of owner permission if application is being made to allow a sign on property not owned by the applicant." 13, during the application process for this sign, staff made KOA representative aware of this requirement. 14, in a letter from Clendening, Johnson, and Borer, PC, attorney representing the KOA, staff was made aware of the Court of Appeals of Indiana First District decision, Wendy's of Fort Wayne, Inc. versus Fagan. The judgment in this case was that the trial court's finding that the grantee of the easement has the right to erect the directional sign in the easement because that use is incidental to making the grant of ingress and egress effectual. Indiana cases clearly have held that the owner of an easement possesses all rights necessarily incident to the enjoyment of the easement, and that he may make such repairs, improvements, or alterations as are reasonably necessary to make the grant of easement effectual. Summary: after reviewing the case law, staff granted approval of the application for a sign permit in the easement, as the trial courts found that a grantee has the right to erect a sign to make the easement effectual. And then this is the sign in question here. So from this, from where I'm standing here is the middle of KOA Drive, looking up at the Scroggins property. And then looking east on State Road 46 East from KOA Drive.
And that picture you just showed us,
This one is at the intersection of KOA and 46 East.
is that on the petitioner's property as well?
This entire easement, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And then,
And the petitioner submitted a picture that shows a third sign
Yeah.
that looks like it's also on their property. Do you have a picture of that?
In the packet,
Yes.
yes.
the view from the cabin.
Yep. Okay, thanks. And that third sign that also is on the petitioner's property, although it's on, I'm assuming it is, but
So the view from the cabin, this one that you're looking at,
yeah.
so it's this sign is the large one that we're talking about here.
Mhm, right?
And then the one across the easement
Yes.
is this sign.
Across KOA Drive.
Yes,
Is
Yes.
that one in the easement though?
yes,
It goes,
Okay.
So all signs that are out there, which is a total of 3, are
Correct.
all within the easement.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
And then this last photo is just from our GIS map. So the bottom outlined in white is the specific property where the sign is located. And then we've got KOA Drive, which is outlined there in blue. That's the end of the staff report.
Okay. Thanks for that.
I have a question before we call petitioner. You also have a letter dated March 19th, 2025 to Carpenter Legacy Management.
Yes,
Is that to KOA people or to the petitioner?
this is the KOA.
Okay.
Mhm.
And it was instructing them at that time that they had 14 days to remove the sign and they did not?
That was from March.
Yeah.
So that was prior to,
March 19th.
the sign blowing down.
No.
No?
This is after they repaired the new sign.
This was after,
Yes,
sorry, this was after it flew down.
you're correct.
So KOA has no road frontage.
That's right.
Kayla, I had a couple of questions, or maybe Kayla and Dave. You said you reached this decision after reviewing the case law. I went and reviewed the Wendy's versus Fagan too, and I see the section that was quoted out of there by the attorney who contacted you. But then there's a paragraph after that paragraph, the last paragraph of the opinion that says, in the case of Wendy's versus Fagan, the proposed sign is a mere 52 inches. And it goes on to say that this type of sign is reasonable to effectuate the purposes while not amounting to an offensive burden on the servient's estate, which would be the petitioners here. I read this case law then to say that you don't have carte blanche to erect a sign in an easement to effectuate ingress and egress, that right has to be balanced, and the decision about reasonableness has to take into account the facts of the situation. This opinion seems to suggest that size of the sign is one of those factors to consider. I guess in deciding whether or not to grant this request or to allow the sign, I guess you determined that it didn't constitute an offensive burden on the Scroggins. Is that right?
Yeah, we talked today prior to.
And also that it was necessary to effectuate the purpose of the easement. So how did you reach that decision if there were already other signs there effectuating ingress and egress?
Well, I mean, from my perspective,
Yeah,
the case law says you can put signs on easements,
true.
okay? And the signs that they wanted to put satisfy the criteria of the ordinance.
Well, the case law says you can do it if it's necessary to effectuate
Yeah,
ingress and egress.
Yeah,
What if you already have several other signs there?
I guess my feeling is I don't read it that way, and I think that's a statement they made at the very end, just to say, well, it's not a big deal anyway. But, so that's just the way I read that. But you're free to read it as you see fit.
Yeah, I don't see the part where they said it's not a big deal anyway. Did I miss that far in the opinion?
No, reading case law as I've done over 40 years,
Right.
that's what happens in appellate cases. They'll say stuff at the end, but the point is, you can put a sign on an easement if it's necessary to effectuate your easement. And there's no
Do you think it's
limitation.
necessary if there already a sign there? And a second sign? Or is that for us to decide?
The easement doesn't limit that. It's just that the case law says they can put a sign up. Is it reasonable? Well, it meets our code.
It meets our coding because of, it's not in violation of any size limits that we have, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so the sign itself, in terms of dimensions, it's not an issue.
Well, I'm not sure that's what the case law says. I mean, I don't think the word mere is there for just because the judge felt like it. I think the opinion says a mere 52-inch sign, implying that this sign, because it's so small, does not constitute an offensive burden on the servient estate, implying that a larger sign might, implying that one has to balance that factor among others when deciding whether or not the sign should be allowed. And the opinion is silent about multiple signs. Doesn't say you have the right to erect as many signs as you want to effectuate your easement.
I would tend to lean, and I'm not an attorney, but
I'm not sure it would help.
under that theory, they could put up 7 more signs the same size because it helps effectuate their, right?
If it's put under 144 square feet.
Right, but is that cumulative or is that each individual sign?
That's max,
Max size of a sign, so that's 12 by 12,
no, max area.
max area.
Well, I don't think our ordinance governs the maximum size in this situation.
Well, it
What
does,
governs maximum size is what is necessary to effectuate the easement and not place an undue burden on the servient estate. That's what governs this decision, in my opinion. I
so
think our sign ordinance is not relevant here. That's not the question.
I'm curious as to the other, this is two-sided, this sign is two-sided. The other sign that is there is not two-sided. I don't know that the petitioner has an issue with that sign, or they would have complained about it also, I'm assuming. But,
Well, we'll get to that with the petitioner.
but my thinking would be, if they made the other side a double, that one could come down and it still doesn't stop. That's still plenty of signage to see where the entrance to that is.
So on March 19th, well, there has been a sign there historically, correct? Kayla?
Yes,
Okay, and that sign was destroyed by a storm.
yes,
Okay. Then they went and put another sign back up. And the March 19th letter that was sent out from this office reflects the fact that that sign was put up without a proper permit.
correct.
And we were telling them they had to remove the sign within 14 days of receiving this letter for any further action. Did they or did they not? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you come to our office located for a sign permit? Did they come in for that sign permit?
They did,
They did.
yes.
Okay, so they were technically in compliance with the March 19th letter and asking them what to do, even though they put it up without getting the permit beforehand.
Yes,
Then we have a letter that went out on April 21st of the same year. But this letter also indicates a lack of, to me, a lack of action on the petitioner's part. So what was this letter trying to convey?
that they needed to get their sign permit, because on the same day that this letter was sent to Carpenter Legacy Management, we got a, zoning complaint investigation form, which you should have there too,
Have it,
from the petitioners here.
okay. So they did not come into compliance with,
I don't believe it was within that 14 days.
okay,
I mean, another letter was sent out on the 21st of the following month,
Mhm.
so.
correct.
Yep,
So we have to assume that they did not,
yes,
okay.
And when was, not to tag in, when was the sign permit issued?
the 28th of May.
So they didn't comply within 14 days, and then they didn't comply within 30 days.
They did contact us after this April 21st letter was sent out. And then this is when, on Logan's report here, property owners came in, 8 days later. So on April 29th, property owners came in, said something in writing, basically that they need a permit to begin with. So then Logan provided her with the sign ordinance. Sent an email with that information. And then the KOA attorney contacted on the 13th of May, contending the determination that the permission was needed from the property owners.
So they were not in compliance with the first letter.
Mhm.
They came in after they received the April 21st letter. They still were not in compliance, but they did come into the office within, you say 9 days?
8 days, yeah.
8 days after that date that they were supposed to, so they were tardy on that as well.
Yes,
Okay, but they did come in to address the issue of the fact they needed a permit.
yes.
Okay,
Caleb, and Dave, could I return to the case law thing, that you used to support your decision? The letter that you got from the KOA attorney, it also made reference to another case. It was Hicks versus Carewell International, which is a corporation for Holiday Inn hotels. And that decision says in part, one of the parts of that decision, the case, Hicks was claiming that Holiday Inn, did not have the right to erect a sign on the easement across their property. And they claimed in part that Holiday Inn's directional sign that they wanted to put up was larger than that which was placed on the property in Wendy's, and that therefore Wendy's didn't apply. And the appellate court said, given the distance to the Holiday Inn from I-70, which is where the sign was intended to be read from, the evidence established that a smaller sign would not serve the function. The point here being, again, the court said you have to consider the circumstances of the case. They are allowed to put up at least the minimum size necessary to effectuate ingress and egress, i.e. to be seen from I-70. So to me, the question here is this sign necessary to effectuate ingress and egress? And does it not place an undue burden on the Scargins property? That's the question to me. Was that the question as you saw it?
That's how I see it.
But we're getting a recommendation from our legal counsel that in fact, that easement does allow that.
You can put a sign on the easement, and John is arguing that it has to be the minimum necessary to effectuate purpose. Well, I mean, is that something that Kayla's gonna decide when somebody comes in for a permit? Or is Kayla gonna say, well, it meets our requirements, which are designed to be reasonable, so, what do?
Yeah.
If you have a different approach, that's what you're here for, and that's fine.
Gotcha. Okay,
So
thanks.
John, if I understand you, what you're saying is where that sign is a little bit of an overkill for ingress and egress. Can I summarize it in that or?
You can darn near see it from 65, I think is what he's saying.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that they absolutely have the right to put a sign on there if it's reasonably necessary to effectuate ingress and egress. If there's already a sign on there that can be read from the road, then ingress and egress, in my opinion, has been effectuated. And there's nothing in the case law to suggest that they have any right to erect a second or third or seventh sign, as Andy alluded to. Furthermore, the sign has to be, in my opinion, as effect the least burden upon the subservient estate. That's how I read the case law. And both trial judges made it clear that they were allowing this because it seemed to be the minimum burden necessary to allow ingress and egress to the property. Now, we'll hear from the petitioner and anybody else here, and I want to see. But at the end of the day, to me, that's the question before me. Does this have the minimum impact? First of all, is it necessary at all to effectuate ingress and egress? And if it is, does it have the minimum impact?
Well, I mean, the other thing too is, and those are good points. I guess I wasn't going into it quite that deep. What I was looking at basically, it was, does the sign now, as it says, constitute a violation to our ordinance?
No, on GB, it's within the size requirement.
Correct, and that's what,
Right.
that's right. So Kayla's decision, and Kayla, I'm gonna put words in your mouth, so your decision was based on your interpretation from our legal counsel. And Dave had researched this case law. Is that correct? And gave that as example of how a similar case, there's never apples to apples usually in these legal cases like this on case law. But that's what your decision was based on.
Correct.
Yes, somebody applied for a sign permit. Okay, and it meets the criteria of the code.
Gotcha.
That's why she granted it.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for that. I know the petitioners are here. Is there anything that you'd like to add to the staff report?
Yes,
Whichever one of you wants to go first.
we both want to go probably.
Whichever one you'll be as fast then.
Penny Scroggins, I think you guys have addressed all the points that I was gonna make. But I think maybe whenever the case law was studied by our county attorney, he didn't realize there were 3 other signs there because those weren't permitted either. So, yes, it maybe met all the criteria for 1 sign, but what about the other 3? And the other 3 really don't affect our cabin, even though they're on the easement. They're across the road and they're not an eyesore like this one is. And the sign he put the sign up on Good Friday. The sign had blown down and I contacted the planning department and said, hey, you know, they've got boards and stuff there to put up a new sign. We don't give them permission to put a sign up. So that first letter in March was the result of that contact. And then on Good Friday, which was April, I think 18th or somewhere around in there, they went ahead and put up the other sign. Kurt did approach him and said, hey, did you get your sign permit? And he didn't need a sign permit. He paid taxes and he could put up what he wanted.
I'm sorry, what? One second.
He told Kurt that he paid his taxes and he didn't have to have a permit. So, so here we are. You know, the sign is not, you know, everybody keeps saying that it meets the guidelines for our ordinances, but it doesn't. You know, it's supposed to not hinder anything around it, and it does. You know, if you're staying in our cabins and you want to look out and see the golf course, you've got this big yellow sign right in your view. And it's not necessary to have that big yellow sign. There are 3 other signs that identify KOA's entrance.
What was the size of the sign that blew down?
It was smaller than this one. And it wasn't as bright.
You said it blew down when?
It blew down, it had to have been probably the 1st of March, around in there, because the letter that was sent out was in March 17th, the first letter.
Was that after you bought the property?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've owned the property for what, 2 years now?
Oh.
2 or 3.
And it was in the same location as this new sign?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The storms came down on the 14th, that's my birthday.
And what specifically about it, the new sign, you referred to it as an eyesore? Is it simply the presence of the sign?
No,
Or is
it's
it the
large.
size or the location?
It's large, and the location, and the fact that they have 3 other signs. You
You're
know,
okay with the other 3 signs?
yeah. They're not bothering us.
And you presumably were okay with the old sign?
Well, the old sign was just that. It was an old sign. You could tell one day it was going to blow over. And I knew.
So you prayed through a storm and it came?
No, I knew that they had to have our permission to put it back up, or at least that was my understanding.
I get you.
Yeah,
I get you.
so.
So was
You
the
know-
old sign in the same place, same location that this was in?
Mhm.
Okay.
Same location, but it was in somewhat disrepair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's leaning. So,
All right.
that's all I have.
Any questions for this half of the petitioner?
So your biggest concern is aesthetics,
Mhm.
limited visibility?
Mhm.
Anything else? Am I missing something?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
And, you know, again, to reference the law that was quoted, that was one sign and it was a small sign. This isn't a small sign. And I don't think it meets our ordinance, the way I interpret the ordinance, because I'm not an attorney.
Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you.
I am Kurt Scroggins. To address some of the legality ends of it to meet the sign ordinance, you know, it's not size only. I was reading through what Kayla had given us on the sign ordinance. And it says right in there that it's to maintain aesthetic environment, but it does not. It says to minimize adverse effect on nearby personal property and adverse effect on obstructing natural scenic vistas, and it does not. It says that the county is supposed to approve location and design. I don't think they did that. I don't know if they went out there and checked the location, but it also says in another section that signs need to be well designed and compatible with their surroundings and buildings. Signs to be harmonious to the sites they occupy. And then, of course, the part that says written proof of permission from landowner that the sign is on, which the easement thing kind of did away with needing our permission. And pretty much, I feel like the county has the authority to regulate signs. You, just because there's maximums and minimums, you've got the authority to regulate that. We just don't feel like that many signs is needed for their purpose. They have the KOA Drive sign that shows that's KOA Road. They have 2 signs bolted to that sign that says KOA. They have another sign that says KOA on the west side of KOA Drive. And then they have just this other, excuse me, this other sign that says we fill propane. That's not a necessary sign either. And none of those signs that I know of is permitted as far as getting sign permits. So in my purpose, you know, everybody coming there from traveling the country to stay there overnight or 2, they all have GPS. There's no problem finding KOA. But we're not against them having a sign on the west side of the KOA Drive. It's just this big, huge monstrosity that when I'm sitting on my porch looking out and all I see is a big yellow sign. I mean, it's bright. And then at night, they have it lighted. You know, there's lights shining up on it. And also in the ordinance somewhere it says that there should be no lights shining at a residence. Well, their lights are shining towards a residence and it reflects that yellow. I mean, you sit out there in the dark looking at the stars and all you see is yellow, a yellow glow. So I just feel like the smaller sign on the west side of the road is fine, but we just want to do away with this big monstrosity.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jane.
Go ahead.
Do any of the other signs, do they have lighting on them?
The one sign does have lights on it also.
The middle size one or?
Yeah, it's the middle size.
Side of the drive.
Yeah. But it is far enough away and kind of back a little bit further than what this big sign is, so it's not quite as obstructive, but we still don't like it, but.
Would you have a problem with them making that one bigger? If the big one were on the west side, like they were to increase that for visibility or whatever?
If it was bigger, then it would
Right.
cause a problem. You know, the size that sign that's there now on the opposite side of the road is not too offensive. So we're not arguing about that size sign. So, you know, if you would be fine with that size, we would be fine.
The home that's sitting directly behind this with the new constructions going on. Is that your home?
That's our house that we're building.
That's your house that you're building?
It's not our residence.
Okay,
It's a tourist rental.
it's a tourist rental.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's what I was thinking, but I wouldn't.
So we're gonna have people coming here from all over the country, staying there because Brown County is so beautiful. And they're gonna be sitting there looking at this sign thinking, why would I wanna come back to this county when they've got a big sign in these people's yard that is blocking our view and disturbing us? That's our thought.
I assume taking down all the other signs except the big sign still would not alleviate your concern.
No, it's the one big one. The other ones I'm not quite so concerned about. You know, I still feel like they're not leaving signs.
Okay. It's not the fact that there's so many signs out there, it's the fact that this one that they recently put up is of such large size and the location it's in.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's bigger, brighter, you know. We're in business here in county and I've put up signs and we've come before the board, you know, we've had to show materials our signs are made of, the colors, you know, the location, the size. So I understand all that part.
Kurt, could I pause you for a minute?
Sure.
Andy needed to step out for a minute.
Okay.
I'd like you present for all of this.
I have a question when we get back into.
All right, sure.
Thanks, Kurt. You can go ahead if you want.
I forget where I was at right at the moment, but
Oh,
That's
that's
my question.
Go ahead, Jim.
go ahead.
The new sign, is that the same location as where the old one was?
Yes, it's same
Because
location.
the landscaping was already there and.
Yes. And part of the history of that too, I don't know if this really makes a difference, but when we bought the property, that property owner had tried to get rid of that sign at that time, and he was told that it had been there so long that they wasn't gonna make him take it down, but if anything ever happened to it, then he would have to go through the process and get it approved and all that. So, you know, when we bought the property, we had in the back of our mind that this sign was gonna be gone sometime. And then there was one other ordinance that I failed to mention. I don't know if this makes a lot of difference, but it said in there somewhere that the sign is supposed to be, whatever the height sign is, it's supposed to be that far from the road. Well, I measured the sign and it's 14 foot tall and it's 11 feet from the road, the big sign. And then the middle sign is 9 feet tall and then it's 5 feet from the road. So there again, it doesn't meet the ordinance requirements.
The road being the KOA camp road?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
But just, you know, a list of those 5 or 6 different ordinances that it doesn't mean.
Is that KLA road, a county road, or is it, it's not, it's privately owned and maintained by,
It's an easement.
isn't, that's the, okay, that's,
Mhm.
right.
Kayla, that part of the ordinance that, Kurt was referring to, you're familiar with that?
Somewhat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause I didn't read the sign ordinance in that detail, so. Not that I don't believe him, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
On the height and the distance from the road,
Yeah,
that was part of the read. That's where I got that.
Yeah, and it's on number 11 on the staff report also.
and what does it say? Well, that's about that.
Oh, that's about the maximum sign height, I'm sorry.
No, I'm interested in
Setbacks.
height and distance from road.
I can grab one of those sheets in here. We've got a cheat sheet.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, well, I'm really interested in what the ordinance says, how it defines road.
Here, can I read this?
Sure.
County road means the roads within Brown County that have been accepted into the state of Indiana Department of Transportation criteria.
I wish I knew what their criteria were, and whether KOA road.
Criteria
It's-
for assigning credit such as Brown County, Indiana does in fact receive credit for state payments for those roads.
what are you reading from?
Well, it's not a state maintained road, we've
I'm
heard,
reading
so
the sign.
yes, Brown County doesn't pay the state anything.
The sign ordinance that was emailed to me.
We're looking for the part Kurt was talking about, setbacks from the road and height specifically.
I just assumed the road was the ingress egress.
Right. It sounds
Is
to
the way I
me,
read it.
it sounds to me like a road is a county maintained road that the county pays something to the state to maintain.
The state pays the county.
Or the state pays the county to maintain.
If it's on the inventory card, then the county gets an allowance from the state.
Got it. So it sounds like KOA Road was not a road in, for the purposes of.
Right.
So that's wouldn't pertain then if that's not a county road, you're saying.
Boundary line.
But now that Kayla's got into the trouble, we might as well hear it.
So this is letter E, section 3 of 4.15, so the sign ordinance. In all districts, signs shall be set back from road and highway right of way and from lot boundary lines a distance that is equal to the height of the sign.
Okay.
Hmm.
But do you interpret that, when it says road, do you interpret that to mean private and public roads?
I do not.
Okay, thanks.
Mean the state highway.
Could you read it one more time? It said road and highway.
In all districts, signs shall be set back from road and highway right of way and from lot boundary lines, a distance that is equal to the height of the sign.
So would a lot boundary line determine anything with an easement? That doesn't, it's probably an ease, it's not a lot boundary line probably,
I don't think so.
because it would give you an easement through the lot. boundary line.
Any other questions for the petitioners?
I don't have any.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody here who wants to speak for or against this petition? See anybody? Oh, yes, I see a hand.
John, I just have a hard time. I'm Jim Roberts. I don't really have a dog in this fight. I just have a hard time keeping my mouth shut at one of these meetings.
It's a public hearing.
I've had occasion to read that Wendy's case, and I agree with you somewhat. I think the two key points there are what they describe as directional sign, which kind of, in my mind, is a little thing with an arrow saying go this way. And the other thing is that obviously that decision, the reasoning behind that decision is based on necessity. And if there are other signs available that satisfy the necessity to make the easement usable, make it practical. I mean, in the Wendy's case, you had a great big Wendy's drive-in restaurant, and a little guy who had an easement behind him had a business rebuilding starters and alternators. And his argument was, hey, my easement isn't any good because nobody can find me. And that necessity, which triggered the black letter rule of law, I think is negated here by the fact that there is other signage, and albeit it's on the easement, there's other signage that accomplishes the same purpose here. I really didn't mean to come here and say anything about this case. I had to run into town to get something from Bear Hardware. So, and also, of course, the prior petition, as Jane knows, that's my next door neighbor, and I kind of wanted to see what their tourist home plans were and welcome them to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks for that. All right, there's nobody else left here to speak, so I'll bring this back to the board for us to talk about. I'd be very interested in people's thoughts on this. Jane, why don't you go first for a change?
Well, I can see where it'd be obnoxious to look at that sign every day. I mean, how many signs do they need? Really?
I would say if somebody were living there on a daily basis, it would be obnoxious. I think it's equally harmful to a tourist home business where you're attracting people partly on the view across the golf course and up to the hills beyond.
Yeah, I agree.
Randy?
Well, I have a question. There's no one here from Carpenter Legacy Management.
No, does not appear to be.
Did we hear from anyone?
Just a letter that you have in your packet.
That's, well, okay, but they chose not to be here. Okay. I don't know, this is, I mean, I went out there today and I looked at it. There is a lot of signs. I think there's some clear redundancy there. I don't see the sign as a directional sign. I see it as an identification of a site. But what we're considering this evening is whether or not the decision made by our planning director was the right decision to make. I think arguments can be made both ways, but I see no fault. I mean, she's two things. One, she is following the recommendation of our legal counsel. And if I heard Dave correctly, then the easement that does exist out there does allow this.
Yes, that's what I heard from Dave.
Okay, so what legal grounds are we gonna be on if we overrule that decision? Because if it goes in for judicial review, which it could, all cases can, we have to be able to defend our decision. So, I'm certainly not happy with Carpenter Legacy Management by going ahead and doing what they did without getting proper approval. They did not comply with, they went ahead and did it. And they did not comply with the March letter. And they were even tardy come in compliance with the April letter, but I don't know, to be honest with you, I'm so cogitating. How's that for punting the ball?
That's
Question
fine.
for Kayla.
May I just respond to Randy first before you ask that? As far as where we'll stand legally, we are the people to make a legal decision here, a quasi-legal decision, because we are a quasi-judicial body.
Correct.
We've heard Dave's opinion. We've heard Kayla's explanation for why she reached her decision. But that decision has been appealed and it's up to us to decide. So whatever we decide, we're on fine legal ground.
Oh, I agree with you 100%,
Okay,
but I'm saying every decision is subject to judicial review.
of course,
And that's where you get into things like case law and things like that. So
absolutely.
I'm just saying that, no, we're definitely not stepping outside the bounds of what we legally can do and what we're expected to do. I'm just saying that if it does come to that, I'm one board member that would like to feel comfortable in defending the decision. And I'm sure probably the rest are too, but I'm not gonna speak for everybody else. So,
You said you had a question.
Yeah. Did you know all the other signs were there?
I did.
All right, Darla, your turn. You've been very quiet.
Very
And you have
quiet.
things to say.
Yeah, well, I don't like this opinion. Wendy's of Fort Wayne, but, it doesn't matter what I think, but, I don't like the opinion because, court says Indiana cases clearly have held that the owner of an easement possesses all rights necessarily incident to the enjoyment of the easement and that he may make repairs, improvements, or alterations as are reasonably necessary to make the grant of easement effectual. Well, that sounds real simple. But then the court sort of cavalierly tells good old Mr. Fagan, yeah, you can put up a sign, but we're not buying into your argument that you need to install utilities to make your business work. So they just sort of
I know they parsed that out nicely.
say, we're gonna give you the sign, but we're not going to let you install utilities. So I don't like that. I agree with you, John, and I agree with Mr. Roberts. If you look at what the opinion says right after that, the court tries to explain how they come to this conclusion. The road on the easement is the only entrance to Fagan's property and business, which is located approximately 261 feet from Liberty Mills Road extended, the only public street. A sign directing customers and suppliers to that road is necessary to fulfill the easement's purpose of providing ingress and egress to Fagan's business. The customers can't find the road, they won't be able to use it. So if you look at their explanation for their holding, it does look like that the Court of Appeals was swayed by the facts of the case. The problem is that's not their holding. And then if you go down to the footnote 4, they discuss some of the other issues. The only issue before the trial court was whether Fagan had a right to install utilities and erect a sign. Thus, the evidence that Wendy's was offering regarding alternative locations was not relevant to whether Fagan had the right to erect the sign in the easement. So I don't like the opinion. I think the petitioners have a point. But, I mean, we've got what we've got. And like I said, that's why the people in Indianapolis who wear the robes make the big bucks. Because this is what they do. And I don't like it, but I can see Dave's point. If we overturn Kayla's opinion, where is she in the future the next time somebody comes forward with a similar complaint? Is she in the position of having to engage in some sort of subjective test? And I don't like this, but I can see why Dave and Kayla did what they did. And so I'm afraid I'm going to have to find against the petitioners, but I don't like it. And I don't like the way Carpenter Realty acted either, but.
So that,
Urban Legacy Management.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Sorry.
so the footnote in Fagan that you quoted, basically they have the right to erect a sign.
Yeah, they were just restating their opinion. It's not relevant to whether Fagan had the right to erect the sign in the easement. That's what they came down on.
And you're saying the unwritten part there, they should have said had the right to effect the sign in the easement because it is necessary to effectuate the ingress and egress, which is the purpose of the easement. Is that what you would like them to say?
Yeah, I would have, but yeah, they didn't, so.
Well, I would argue that they did, in their opinion.
Well, I think we need to be careful. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
I think we need to be careful about getting too much of the minutia of this case law. I mean, it could go on for ad infinitum. I think Darla.
Oh, it can and it does.
I think Darla makes some good points, and
you can argue about easements.
yeah, you can.
All day long.
But you can't argue about the language that says it should have the minimum impact on the subservient
I agree,
estate.
it says that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are points of that to
I
be.
mean, that is the case law, that is the opinion,
May I give my opinion?
and also that it's necessary. And I'm of the opinion that it's not necessary, nor does it have minimum impact.
I mean, that may be a very defensible position.
I mean, you guys are free to have another opinion, that's fine.
Yeah.
Dave, you wanted to say
I
something?
just wanted to make one more pass at this. This is an appeal of Kayla's decision and the application of the ordinance. And so the ordinance requires that they have the owner's permission. That was taken care of by that lawsuit, okay? The stuff that Mr. Scroggins read about maintaining and enhancing aesthetic environment, that's the purpose of the ordinance. That's not a requirement. The requirements, this says, this is why we're doing this. These requirements, if you meet them, will satisfy this purpose, okay? So, the sign site or the size and all that meets the ordinance. That's why Kayla granted it. They had the approval to do that and they granted it. The issue of whether, in my mind, whether the sign is necessary, the signage is necessary in that extent or whatever, that's an issue between the owner of the servient estate and the dominant estate. I don't think that's a BZA issue. But
Okay. I'll respectfully disagree. I think it's very much our issue to decide, was this sign necessary to effectuate the easement? And two, did it place an undue burden on the subservient estate.
Where is that in the ordinance, John?
It's in the case law that is behind this ordinance.
Okay.
Well,
Can I
There,
get my
I'm
opinion?
sorry, let me rephrase that. It's not the case law behind the ordinance. It's the case law that's applicable and that was cited to Kayla in order to persuade her to reach a decision. I think that the case law presented to her was an excerpt from an opinion rather than the whole opinion, and actually both opinions that were referred to. And I think had Kayla been aware of those opinions, she might have reached a different decision.
May I speak?
And I think that's why the decision is appealed to us, because we have the authority to decide whether or not this decision was properly made, or turn it back to Kayla and say, revisit this decision.
Mr. Chairman, I think Andy's head's gonna blow up down there.
Don't blow up, Andy.
I'm not, we don't let him talk.
I actually thought I was timing it better than that, but
Go ahead.
I didn't because I didn't realize you weren't finished. I'm not an attorney. I'm a simple man. On March 19th, a letter was mailed. 28 days later, 23 days later. I'm sorry. Another letter was mailed April 21st. They came in on May 8th.
What do you get? Sorry. They came in on the 29th of April.
29th of April, Good
Yeah.
Friday. That's 23 days from first notification from the county that they were in violation. Our ordinance says, and the letter that they received says, any person who violates this ordinance shall be subject to a civil penalty of not more than $10,000 for each such violation. Each day that the violation is committed or permitted to continue constitutes a separate ordinance violation. In my estimation, at 23 days, that's $230,000 in fines that could be assessed. I think that Carpenter Legacy Management knowingly and intentionally constructed a sign without a permit after a sign was damaged, because they knew that they would have trouble getting a permit, so they tried to okey doke the system to start with and not ask and just do. I do not believe the sign provides directional information at all. So the case law reference directional to the easement, it does not point to a direction. It's merely advertisement. It does not affect, in my opinion, how did they say that? It does not effectually inhibit, or the opposite of that, ingress or egress. Doesn't help or hurt ingress or egress. A camper or someone hauling a trailer can't get in or out of there any easier because the sign is there. I feel like because it was knowingly and intentionally put up, that I would tend to side with the petitioner, even though I do have a hard time going against Kayla. I believe she acted in the best interest at the time. I can absolutely see, and also to add to what John said, it certainly isn't minimized. They went bigger than was before. They knew it was an issue and they tried to get away with it. That's my hard stop. Like, let's do things the right way to start with. And that would have been a different issue. That's my opinion.
I'll say for the record, first of all, the only person up here who's an attorney is Darla. And secondly, I absolutely understand why Kayla reached the decision she did. She was provided with some information about case law. I just happen to think that the case law would lead her to reach a different conclusion. So I am inclined to ask her to revisit the decision. That's me. All right, I've heard from everybody. Well, all right. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Or,
Okay, the motion would be either to uphold the decision made by the planning director in this respect, or to not uphold the decision, and we could further instruct her to revisit the decision or anything else that we wanted to. I guess,
Sounds like you've got that down.
okay, so I will move that we hold that the decision of the planning director in this particular case was incorrect, and ask her to revisit that decision in light of the hearing tonight.
Well, I have a question though. When you say you want her to revisit it, what exactly does that mean?
I would like her to revisit the decision, and if she reaches the same conclusion and notifies the parties involved, then they may again appeal that second decision.
Wouldn't they petitioned to appeal the decision. So in my mind, I guess I read it as we either appeal Kayla's decision or hold.
I think we,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I think it's either we instruct her to rescind the sign permit, or we say, yes, she did the right thing by granting the sign permit. I think those are the two choices right now.
Oh, okay.
And the Board of Zoning Appeals stands in Kayla's shoes, as if the application were made to you at this point,
Yes.
so.
I don't think kicking it back to Kayla would be fruitful. Regardless, of just me, we either need to uphold her decision or grant the appeal. In which case that petition, the Carpenter Management KOA would be in violation of our ordinance.
Okay, so if I'm hearing Darla and all of you correctly, then the decision for us is whether to uphold the decision to issue the sign permit or revoke the decision to issue the sign permit. Is
correct.
that
Yes,
what I think?
That's what I think
correct.
before us. Yes.
All right, then I'll make a motion that we revoke the sign permit that was granted in this situation.
Can we word it grant the appeal versus revoke the sign? Because there's nothing in the petition about a sign permit.
And I'd amend the motion to say, I would move that we grant the appeal to the decision made by the planning director in this docket number, and that we revoke the sign permit.
I would second.
Is that okay with everybody?
Say it again.
I move that we grant the appeal by the petitioners of the decision made by the planning director in respect to docket number 25-A-01, which granted a sign permit, and that we decide to revoke the sign permit. So it's a motion to grant the appeal and revoke the sign permit.
Then, should we, I know in times past, another pause caveat, John. In times past, we've stated the reasoning for our decision. Would that be a good idea here as to why we decided to overrule the director?
Yeah, you're supposed to make findings of fact about that support the decision.
Okay, all right. Then, rather than try to do that on the fly, should we, procedurally, how do we proceed? Because it would really take some sitting down, putting together
Yes.
findings of fact, and then the opinions that arise from those.
Yes, you can make your decision tonight and then work on findings before the next meeting.
Okay. All right.
I believe I said them during my little monologue that I would submit to be with with John's motion. So I know they're in the minutes.
So I understand, Dave. Yeah, that makes good sense. In this situation, we should definitely sit down and put down findings of fact, and then just how our decision arose from those.
That was mine, not his.
Well,
I second.
All right, we have a motion that's been seconded to grant the appeal of the decision and to revoke the decision to revoke the sign permit that was issued.
Tyler Brown,
No.
Randy Jones,
No.
Jane Gore,
Yes.
John Delberger,
Yes,
Danny Boyles.
Yes.
all right. Your appeal's been granted.
Thank you. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Should I get a letter out revoking that sign permit before the findings are adopted by the board? I'm not sure. Is that okay?
I
Okay.
think that's yeah, that's okay.
And in our minutes next month, would we need to, that's when we would actually change the minutes and list that as fact of finding, or is that a separate?
Separate
That's a separate document.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Was that an email or is that in person?
Well, the first question would be who is going to draft the initial findings of fact and decision?
I think it would be helpful if each of you who voted in favor of the appeal
Yes.
to just send Kayla an email outlining some of the reasons you did that, then we can put them all together in the findings of fact form that we usually use.
You really need a justification from us who voted no.
Yeah.
Just wanted to hear you say it.
So no dissenting opinions in this document we're gonna generate? Okay, that's only the Supreme Court gets to do that, right?
Or anything else.
Good. Any announcements or? I don't have the rest of it.
Dave, you have anything for, as far as any kind of legal cases or?
We don't have anything on the docket at this time, so.
Oh,
Nothing
you
new
may
about
have
Joe
fixed that.
Nixon?
Beg your pardon?
Joe Nixon?
All the Joe Nixon cases are done.
Done.
The only thing we have to decide plan commission wise is how to enforce that.
How to enforce that, you mean?
The subdivision control ordinance.
Okay,
Because the court ruled against Nixon on both of his appeals. And he did not pursue an appeal himself. So those decisions are done.
is he come back into compliance? Is he still subdividing, Kayla? Or not subdividing, is he
It's
still?
still shown as multiple separate parcels on the map.
So is there an action by this board that needs to take place to direct GIS to undo that?
The plan commission would need to do an enforcement action.
The
Get the
APC,
court to do that.
the MPC or the plan commission being Kayla?
No, the planning commission, APC.
The other thing that we're on.
You guys.
That other board.
You guys.
All right, I'll move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Roll call vote to adjourn, please.
Randy Jones,
Sure.
Jane Gore,
Yes.
John Delberger,
Yes,
Danny Boyle,
Yep.
Tyler Brown.
Yep.
meeting is adjourned.
Now I gotta get out.
All right. Yeah.